What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki back with another Chris Watts Nichol Kessinger video. I didn't realize that the Unmasking Nichol Kessinger from the Unmasked True Crime, I didn't watch part 3. So I thought we would watch part 3 and see if we can get any more little bits of pieces of NK and her skeevious plan of this whole murders and so forth. So that being said, grab a chair, get comfortable, but don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel by hitting that wiper icon down the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that Zowoki myself has posted that video. And then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you guys so very much for that continued love and support that you guys show on this channel every single day. I can't thank you guys enough, and keep doing what you guys are doing. We'll continue to keep growing together onto our goal of 100K. Speaking of support though, check out the link in the description for the Unmasked True Crime channel themselves. Go over there, give them some love, do the thing, subscribe, comment, like, and share. Give them the love that they deserve for putting this together for us to learn and educate ourselves more about Miss Nasty Nichol Kessinger. So with that being said, let's get into the video and see Unmasking Nichol Kessinger Part 3. What more can we learn? Enjoy our content and please subscribe to them. Go do it. Gotta make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. So the first interview was out in the park. The second interview was when they were inside the room with the circle table. Her dad was on the right side, she was in the middle, and then the agent was on the left side. Now the third interview is where she is on the left side, kitty corner from the interviewer or the detective from the right side. So that's the one we're looking at, is the one where she is by herself with that investigator that was later on let go because he possibly might have gotten too close to Miss NK. That's not factual.
Hey guys, this is part 3 of the Unmasking NK series. We try to get these done as
these are the phone interviews. Okay.
As fast as we can. We spend quite a lot of time on these. Like part 2 took about a week to finish just with all the research and then the notes that we take and the voiceovers and editing and the images and all that stuff, and then going back over it a million times. So we just try to make sure that we put out stuff that's worth your time and that's good and accurate and not just throw content at you. So
true. There
will be 2 more parts and we will get them done as fast as we can. And again,
there's more parts?
Thank you to everyone who's helped our channel grow so quickly. We really appreciate all the love and support we've been shown. And there will be some points in the video where I veer off from the interview a little bit to connect some things for you, and then we'll come back to it. Okay. This is just our opinion, but the fact that she texted him at 2:06 a.m. and that she's not really giving a ton of information here and still being evasive.
I thought it was so funny that she's like, oh, I had nothing to do with the murders, but yet you're calling and texting him so much during those murders, up leading to after when the murders happened, and then silence.
This whole interview appears to be more of a fishing expedition for her to just see what they have.
See what they know.
So with the last interview of August 16th clearly weighing on her mind, NK texts Agent Kobach's cell at 2 a.m. after the interview that we just listened to. She tells him that she's remembered more stuff and they set up a time to talk on the phone so he can get any new information that might be valuable to them. The interview begins via telephone at 10:51 a.m. Mountain Time. At the very beginning of the interview, he asks her how she's feeling. She says she's feeling a little bit better, got a little bit of sleep. He offers to help her get in touch with the victim's advocate at some point. She responds with, "Yes, I'm going to need you to do that once we're done talking." NK says she's remembered some, quote, odds and ends, and she's sure there's going to be more times when she suddenly remembers things and has to call him, and he says that's fine.
So what you texted me about 2 a.m. and said that you remembered some other information. What did you
I'm sorry, but who texts at 2:06 a.m.? I don't text my fiance at that time. If I'm gone or she's gone or whatever have you. No, you're sleeping.
Remember.
Like, just kind of odds and ends. And I'm sure there will be more as this goes on. I interacted with him so much that sometimes, like, I just have to stop and think about how much information that I have gotten from him over the last few months and the last week or so. And, like I said,
she tries to watch how she talks because she doesn't want to, like, give herself up and everything.
Never know what's true and what's not anymore.
Sure.
But I figured I'll just give you guys everything I have. And hopefully I don't have to keep calling you back with more, but no promises.
No, that's okay. Please do.
In February, when investigators go up to Wisconsin to interview Chris, he tells them that NK did have an eHarmony app. Chris tells investigators that NK told him she had set up some dates on eHarmony.
And that's probably what also pissed him off, is he's like, oh, I thought I was the only one, but here she's hooking up with other dates possibly. And he's like, oh, I'm running out of time and stuff like that. So she was just playing him like a fiddle, like, oh, I got a couple dates. Oh, but they canceled on me. Like, come on.
But was stood up. This is the part from Discovery from their interview with Chris in February that references that discussion. So this information that Chris gave them is obviously backed up by something that Agent Kobach saw on August 17th. I bring this up because at this point, Agent Kobach has read a lot of her texts and must have mentioned to her a text that he saw between her and Charlotte talking about eHarmony. What's really interesting about this part is here Agent Kobach is clearly her text and he's seen something that he's confused about. To him, it seems like she's referencing talking to another man on eHarmony or going on a date with another man on eHarmony. And not only does NK say she can't find the text,
Run, guys.
She says, I don't know what you're talking about, and completely denies it existing at all. She finally says something like, if you find it, let me know, which is an odd response. And he finally gives up and says, it's not that big of a deal. Let's move on, or let's get past this. However, it obviously is a big deal because when they go up to Wisconsin in February, they ask him about it. So again, remember, this interview is taking place on August 17th. When NK gives investigators her typed out notes of things she remembers on September,
which those typed out notes, whatever, do not seem like all her. Like, it seems like somebody else's wording in there, possibly her father.
September 4th, she writes that between the dates of July 15th and July 19th, she told Chris that she had been asked out on 2 dates since she'd known him and that she didn't go on either one and was stood up. And this list has always...
Well, she didn't go on them by her choice. She was stood up. Stood up. So it makes it look like, oh, feel sorry for me. I was stood up by these dates. Come over and give me some sugar or butt stuff. It's just... I'm not saying it's a woman tactic. I'm not saying that because this is a narcissistic woman. But she wants things and she's willing to make him like a love puppy by saying all this stuff to him. And then he comes to rescue all, oh, come here, kind of. That's what he's doing. That's what she was doing.
It seemed to me a bunch of stuff she put together, I'm sure some of it's true, but a lot of it seems like it's filling in holes and gaps of things that she once denied or left out or said wasn't true. And she knows they're going to find them, or that Chris is going to talk about them, or they're going to be found out in the investigation. So she's kind of filling in blanks and throwing things in to kind of CYA. This is a perfect example of that because we see how she originally denied it and now she throws it in the list with everything else admitting about the dates. There is a bigger picture here. It's just easier to understand if I break it down like this. And there's a reason why
and try to cover this up, because she was involved. My thoughts, opinions, educational purposes only.
Digging into this one little seemingly innocuous lie. It's our opinion that she's downplaying it because this was a very integral part of their big relationship fight slash talk at Chris and Shanann's house on July 14th. And if you've watched our videos, you know that we've always stated that this day was a tipping point for Chris. So
I love that NK felt extremely insecure at Shannon's house or Shanann's house. I wonder why. Because you're with the married man in the wife's home and you think you're insecure?
On July 14th, she came over to their house. She walked through their house and was assessing all of their nice stuff, as we know from part 2 in her own words. We know from Discovery that she freaked out and stormed out of the house and sat in their driveway, texting Chris for 30 minutes.
She liked the chase. She loved to be the one being chased after.
Back and forth, and he was able to calm her down, and they allegedly laid on the couch together, and he held her. And
unfortunately, I was with a few of those type of girls too.
They discussed the future of their relationship, and he talks about that in the book and how it turned him on. He was able to talk her down off a ledge. She also talks about it in her interviews, how she thought it was so awesome that Chris was a guy who would talk things out, and she had never been with a guy who was willing to do that before. So it makes some other things that were said in Discovery make sense. So it looks like this is the point where she drops it on him that she's set up a couple dates a few weeks ago on her eHarmony app, and they stood her up. She knows that's going to upset him and make him jealous and insecure and knock him off balance, and that is exactly what she wanted to do. And then it's in Discovery that later that night...
I'm sorry, but having that 4 times that evening, that's exhausting, man. At 30 years old, or I'm 36 now tomorrow, but I just love how they're like, oh, we did it 4 times in one night, and then now it's 2. It's like, they're talking about, what does the sex have to do with anything about this? Like, does it have any correlation with this?
They go back to her place and they try to have sex, and he cannot physically perform. She asks him what's wrong, and he's played right into it, obviously like the way she wanted, and he says he's upset over that information that she had set up the dates. And what's really interesting is that both Chris and NK separately in their interviews mark this day and this fight as a turning point in their sex life. Their sex diminished after this, allegedly, and apparently there was just a shift in their relationship, and Chris says himself that it was around this time that he started actively planning the murders. So while it might seem like a small thing to lie about, she was smart enough to know what it would look like.
So you're telling me almost a month before the murders took place, he was thinking about murder, and he didn't tell his mistress that he told her everything? Their finances, where she lived and where she was from and where he was. I mean, he literally told her everything. The life insurance policies that NK knew.
Like, and they'd be able to see that that was a manipulative move to try and light a fire under him. If you want us to make a quick video showing why we think July 14th was so important and match it with Discovery on some things that we noticed from that point forward and planning the murders, let us know and I can get that out to you right away. But just let us know in comments if that's be something you would be interested in. They then switch tracks, and NK states that she remembers some things about that Monday night, the 13th. She says that Chris had been texting her that Monday up until later in the evening. From the cell phone records, we can see that their first actual phone call where they connected was at 9:48 p.m. She says he wanted to FaceTime, and she was already laying in bed.
111-minute phone
She said he was wearing a white wife beater and laying on a mattress without any sheets. She asks him where the sheets are, and he says that he's washing them. She then says that Chris tells her he's cleaning the house to try and take his mind off of things. She says she didn't think it was weird at the time because he's very meticulous and quote-unquote OCD. Another thing that caught my attention right away and doesn't really make sense is, okay, so if we're back on her narrative that she almost tripped up on earlier in this interview about the 6 weeks, and then she catches herself all the time. She's talking to the detective about how Chris is always cleaning and he vacuums his house, and then if it's just been vacuumed, he'll go back and vacuum a couple days later or whatever. He's constantly, that he did the basement, he organized the totes in the basement. And to me, I'm thinking, how did she know his cleaning schedule? How does she know he did the totes in the basement? She knows everything. How does she know that when he vacuums his house? How does she know how much she has known this guy for 6 weeks, allegedly. So NK mentions the comment that Chris makes telling her that he had to wash the girls' sheets because they smelled. She doesn't talk about the context of it or how it came up, but just lets him know that she just remembered that comment and that she had begun to wonder why the girls' sheets would smell when they keep the house so clean. He specifically asks her if she followed up on that statement with him, and she says no, as if it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, but now she's thinking about it. I'm not sure how she wouldn't think that's an odd thing, being that she says everything is always so clean and the cops had just been there that day, concerned about his family missing. Agent Kobach asks her what time that this was, and she says that she can't remember and that she just really wishes they would show her her phone records so she could help them put this all together. Despite her requests to be able to look at the records they have, Agent Kobach begins reading them off to her. And as usual, the fight for control of the conversation continues between NK and Agent Kobach.
Show me my phone
So
records.
I'm gonna read off your phone calls for Monday and Tuesday, starting.
No, it's on Monday.
Okay,
just
so
tell me on Monday night.
Monday night, you guys had. We talked about a phone call yesterday, but you guys had a phone call Monday night. It looks like he called you. It was 48 minutes and 57 seconds. It was at 9:48 p.m. that he called you. So that would take us to about 10:35. And then there's another call on Monday. It's for 51 minutes and 25 seconds, it looks like. I'm not sure, looking at this, who called who, but it looks like you called him. And that was at 11:09 p.m. That lasted 51 minutes. So that takes us to midnight. And then there's another phone call where he calls you. So we're now into midnight, Tuesday morning. It's a 30-minute phone call that lasts until 12:38 a.m. And then after 12:38 a.m., there's a 2-minute and 44-second phone call that lasts that starts at 1:12 a.m. It's 2 minutes and 44 seconds. So
I would almost, this is just me, but I would go get my text messages with him from that night, and I would sync them up to that time frame, because there was texting in between that. So I think what happened is he called me on that first call, and then there's that gap between the first call and the second call. In that gap, that was when we FaceTimed for a few minutes, and that was when I got up out of bed because I was just having trouble sleeping, and I went and did laundry. That's what I did. I went
You can hear her quivering in her voice.
Put some clothes in the dryer, and then I think I called him back.
Her voice has changed.
And then we continued to talk. So that little gap right there between those two big phone calls at the very beginning of the night.
Yes.
I mean, not the very beginning of the night, but the big ones at the first two. So in between that gap, there's a quick FaceTime.
So do you think that 2 minute and 44 second is the FaceTime?
The one at the very end?
Yeah. Well, so
No,
there's
I don't even think the FaceTime's on there.
Okay,
because the
so
FaceTime occurred in between those two big phone calls. That I do know.
Okay.
Because it was one big phone call, and then there should have been a FaceTime, and in the FaceTime short, it's only a few minutes, and then there's probably just a few more minutes. That's probably.
So there's a few more calls on Tuesday. So 1:12 is the 2 minute and 44 second call. That lasts till approximately 1:14, and then there's a long gap
got home.
Until 1:50. So another 45 or 35 minutes, and then there's a 7-minute phone call.
Oh, this is not that night.
That phone call lasts till 1:58 a.m. and then there's a 10.
Don't they know what sleep is? Why is this all happening late at night?
Second phone call at 2:07 a.m. followed by. I think he calls you and maybe leaves a voicemail or something, or you don't pick up. So there's a 10-second call, and then directly after that, there's a 10-minute and 24-second phone call.
Okay, so I'm talking about the two at the very beginning of the
two long
really
ones.
Long ones.
And is that when he's talking about the kids'
yes,
sheets?
with the sheet. Okay, so yes. I will help you line this up. I almost want to just come in there and drop and drag all of my texts to where they were going.
And you know what? We may meet and do that here coming early next week.
Yeah, well, all those phone calls at the very end of the night, that was me freaking out. If you look at my text, a lot of that was I can't sleep, I'm really scared, where's your family? That was me freaking out, and him calling to try to reassure me, or me calling him please talk to me, I'm super scared, where's your family? Those little ones at the very...
Yeah, why would she be scared at this point or need reassurance? If they were just missing and he was doing it to punish her, or she was doing it to punish him Nicole said that, and Cindy said that. Oh, that Shannon Watts just decided to leave and to punish Chris.
Very end of the night are me not being able to sleep and trying to get him to like talk to me about like, and just I guess making sure everything was okay.
He then switches topics and tries to confirm with her that their discussions on August 14th were about Shanann being pregnant for the most part. And right here, it really feels like she's trying to, again, kind of cut him off, maybe not comfortable with the topic, and kind of to redirect conversation again. And he's getting audibly frustrated from what it sounds like. And
she won't shut up.
She changes the topic to being confused about, you know, calling certain calls Monday calls versus Tuesday calls, because a lot of them happened between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. But in her mind, even though that's technically Tuesday, it's Monday. And that's the tangent she's going down. And he's getting frustrated and kind of trying to cut in and get back to the topic. And she's just off and running again. He then jumps back to ask her about Sunday's, 111-minute phone call.
Have they forgot what they were talking about?
Did you talk to Chris late Sunday night? And her response is no, and she kind of trails off, and he pounds his hand on the table. You can hear it in the background, and he says, that was the 9 to 11 call we talked about yesterday. And she says, oh, well, yeah, we talked for a while, but then I had to go to sleep and get up for work.
But what about?
And it's just, you can tell he's kind of had it with trying to get her to answer a yes or no question and stay on the topic.
So that was why I brought that up, because I was like, whoa. Okay.
Very important. Thanks for remembering that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to help you guys. I need you guys to help me too. Like,
yes,
we'll
ma'am.
do this as a team, but just don't.
So the reason why we can't, like, I did think about this yesterday, that I would like to sit down with you once we have your text messages and the phone calls, and we can put them in a some type of easily looking, that we can sit down and look at them and compare them, and we can kind of get the context of how everything was going that night. I would like to do that with you. Unfortunately, so the download that we got yesterday is going to take
she definitely thinks she's entitled
multiple days to be analyzed. I probably won't have it back till next week. And then because you guys did have so many text messages, one of my analysts is working on getting those in order, so we can put something together where we can actually sit down and discuss it. But I do think that's something that I want to do in the near future, sometime probably next week.
I mean, I can do that. I don't mind giving you guys my time. I just need you guys to like help me with my employer and try to just help me brace for this media thing and just try.
So I think your personal mental health is the number one issue. So let me help you with that and get a victim advocate to call you. And you can address questions of employment with them. I think they're better suited to answer those questions than I am. So I would ask you to direct questions to them. If they can't answer them, I'll try to help you as best as I can. I think you have a personal decision to make on what you want to do with your employer. I think you're kind of backed into a corner. And you are going to, it's a tough decision. Do you want to inform them of what was going on? But I will tell you that I think that when they started looking at information for us, and I clarified this morning because I didn't do some of the work on this, but there was either text messages or emails between you and Chris that were on company-related phones or on company-related computers that they were privileged to look at, so they already know about you. Okay, so
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep my job. I hope that they don't fire me for that. I mean, technically, I'm not an APC employee, and he is, and it was his phone and not mine. So
he got fired.
I don't think that's fire. Like, I don't know labor law. I'll just put it that way. I think that whatever. I mean, people have relationships at work, and you guys were smart enough to stop the stuff. However, you guys did it. Is it an unusual circumstance that two people who got together at their place of employment, this terrible tragedy happened? Yes. Do I think that they are going to do anything to you? I don't think so. I mean, if you read the paper today, you saw they already fired Chris. I mean,
well, they should, but
Right.
I'm hoping they're not going to fire me.
Well, and I think you need to head that up. I think if it was me, and this is just a personal, this is not a professional opinion, it's a personal opinion, because I'm trying to help you as much as I can. I would reach out to your employer and just say, I want to come and talk to you, but maybe talk to your EAP people first, and let me get you in touch with a victim advocate, because again, I think your mental health is more important right now than even your employment. I want you to make sure that you're comfortable and safe in everything that's happening, and then make some, professional decisions and in regards to your employment. Okay.
Okay.
So let me do that.
And we can. Go ahead.
No, I have a couple more questions that don't relate to anything that we just talked about. Is there anything else that you remembered last night that you want to address?
Yeah, a few. So I'm not done yet.
Okay.
And then we can talk about that whole thing too, because I was actually going to see if I could email them today. I was going to email my upper boss,
back to her job
I was
concern.
actually going to call her and see and just ask her if she can have. She's Anadarko rep. See if she can have a schedule sit down with my employer Tasman and schedule sit down with EAP, and I want to get in a room with them all at the same.
Again, she's telling the agent this. With this has nothing to do with the Watts murders.
Time, and just give them kind of a brief synopsis of what's going on and just ask them for help and see what they have to say. Yeah. But I was going to tell you what I was going to say to them and just ask your opinion on it, because I don't want to give them too much. You
do not need to tell them anything about the investigation or anything about what we discussed.
He begins to wrap up the interview by asking her if there's anything else that she wants to tell him. She brings up one more thing and says that this could have been the same conversation as the sheets when he talked about the sheets being smelly, but she says that Chris told her that Nikki and her son had been there during the day when the cops were there, and that Nicole's son had been running all over the house. And then NK says that at first she was concerned that stuff might be missing, which I've found personally, just me, I found odd. And then she goes on to say that she figured maybe Nicole Atkinson's son was getting belongings because Shanann was staying there. And she further explains this by saying that she thought that on Monday night, and this is a quote, this girl had just left for the night. And I found this part interesting because it's in the same interview, she's contradicted herself again.
Yep.
And it doesn't fit what she told him earlier about when they were going through all those phone calls, and she said that she was really scared and needed Chris to comfort her. And that's why she was calling and texting him so much, because then she just said that she was of the thought process on Monday that she had just left and was staying with a friend. Agent Kobach asks NK to write down all of the things that she wants to tell him, and that way when they talk on the phone or they meet soon, she'll be able to just go through them point by point. And like the other ones, the interview kind of abruptly cuts off, and right after she talks about the FaceTime again and how just he was laying on the mattress with no sheets and that he was really quiet and distant, which is the reason that she let him go and went and did some laundry. So that is part 3. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, she looked like a terrible mother. So with that being said, definitely watching these kind of clips just keeps getting you at your heartstrings. There's another part 4. If you guys would like me to watch that, I can definitely do so and continue the Nichol Kessinger expose list. Definitely a lot of this, again, I'm trying to prove to people that are NK supporters and followers that what she did with the interviewers and the interrogators and whatever have you, she dodged every question. She controlled the situation. She contradicted herself at all times. She's lying. And they're like, oh no, she's the victim. Where do you see the victim in this? I see guilty, 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 guilty all over her face. Just makes me so upset. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Let me know if I should do the part 4. Don't forget to subscribe on both channels. Hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So please take care, be safe, and as always, Keep nerding on, and we'll see you guys next time.